This is the Smart Buildings Academy podcast with Phil Zito, episode 293. Hey folks, Phil Zito here, and welcome to episode 293 of the Smart Buildings Academy podcast. And in this episode, we're going to be talking about working with test and balance. We're going to discuss what test and balance is, how you work with them, what you need to be aware of, the different types and levels of work that you can be doing with them, and a bunch of other stuff. All right, so quick update. We are hiring yet again. We're looking for a third corporate account exec to cover either our Midwest or Northeast regions. So if you are looking for a company where you can make a difference, you can have, at least I think we're a pretty enjoyable culture and a enjoyable group of folks. And you can go to work every day, making a difference, kind of being the master of your own destiny and selling something that really is beneficial to folks. I mean, we're changing people's lives. We're helping people create their careers and helping companies, succeed and grow. So if that sounds interesting to you and you're based in the United States and you have building automation experience, and you think you would like to sell our services to our customers, then reach out to us. You can reach out to just support@smartbuildingsacademy.com. That would be the easiest way. Just contact us there and let us know. Okay, let's talk about test and balance. So test and balance, what is it? Well, what it is in the name. It's testing to make sure systems are performing according to their design parameters and then balancing out those unperforming aspects of the systems. Now, this primarily has to do with airside and hydronic systems. So when you think about a central utility plant, you think about a chiller, right? That chiller has a tonnage capacity, ton of cooling capacity, and it distributes that ton of cooling capacity via, gallons per minute water flow. And this water flows throughout the building. It goes into coils and goes through valves to get to these coils. And at the end of the day, these coils then absorb the BTUs from the airstream and transfer them into the chilled water return, which then flows back to the chiller and either gets released to atmosphere via, just some radiator plates or via a cooling tower if it's a water-cooled chiller. All right, so pretty straightforward how central utility plants work, right? Well, how do we know that these coils are getting the right water flow? How do we know that the valves aren't being starved or aren't demanding too much water? How do we know that the pumps are flowing? How do we know that the temperatures are accurate? How do we know all of this information? And then you cascade that down to airflow. How do we know that our VAV boxes are supplying the right amount of air out the diffusers and that they're at the right mins and maxes for their box size? How do you know? Well, how indeed is through test and balance. The test and balance folks are going to typically be another contractor, although I have seen building automation companies do test and balance themselves. I myself have used a test and balance devices to do test and balance on hydronic and airside systems. Normally, you are trained and certified as a test and balance person to go and do it. In my case, this was service, so we were just using this to kind of get a measurement of existing sites and understand were they out of whack or not, within performance standards. So test and balance is going to come up with a test and balance plan. And this is going to sound very familiar when we get into our next episode, which is commissioning agents, where we're going to hear about a commissioning plan. So test and balance is going to come up with a plan, and they are going to execute this plan. And the level of support you are required to give is going to typically be in either Section 1 or Section 3 of the specification, typically Section 3. And it is going to say, all right, you need to provide this level of support. You need to go and give 16 hours of support. You need to allocate 2 people. They need to have walkie-talkies to talk to one another. You need to provide the tools so that the test and balance person can log into your system and actually go and calibrate things. There's a variety of levels of required skill in order, or required, not skill, skill's not the right word, required support. Support would be the right word. There's a level of required support, and that's going to vary from contract to contract. I've seen some where you literally have to dedicate someone to walk around with a test and balance person all the time. And then I've seen others where you just set up the graphics with the parameters for tuning your CFM, tuning your flow, your set points, etc. And then once you have those set, once you have those graphics set, then you just hand it off to test and balance, and you give them maybe 4 hours of training, and they're off to the races. Now, one way is not necessarily better than the other, although I do prefer creating some graphics, training, test, and balance for a couple hours and letting them have at it. But you can see either way working out. The thing is that if you don't understand what way you're required to support test and balance, this can lead to not properly scheduling your projects. This can lead to misestimates in labor, etc. So test and balance support and commissioning support are two of the big areas that I see newer estimators miss out on from a pricing perspective, and newer project managers miss out on from a scheduling perspective. So at the end of the day, it's going to come down to you going and figuring out what test and balance support do I need to provide? How do I need to provide it? How much do I need to provide? When do I need to provide it? If you can answer those 4 questions, you're going to be well prepared. Supporting test and balance is not going to be difficult. It really should not be. I mean, at the end of the day, there's only so many things we're going to have to change, and those are going to be, our CFMs on our airside systems, our duct static pressure set point on our airside systems, our building static pressure, and potentially changing some of the rotation of our valves and actuators. If those things were improperly installed, test and balance usually will catch that, and they will request that be fixed. But not too bad. Not like what we're going to see when we talk about in episode 294 on commissioning agents, because commissioning is where you can kind of lose your shirt. It's where you can lose a lot of money if you don't properly manage expectations, especially if you have full total commissioning with an owner's rep. Yeah, man, that can get real nasty. You can end up dumping 6 figures worth of labor into a project that you did not properly estimate for. So test and balance at the end of the day, all the sole purpose of it is just to make sure that water's flowing where it's supposed to flow, air's flowing where it's supposed to flow, and in the right amounts. If you keep that in mind and you understand kind of systems thinking, and if you don't have systems thinking, go back to our HVAC episode where we went through HVAC systems. Actually, it was a series. We went through it across multiple episodes. Go back to that, listen to that, and that will really help. All right, I know a shorter episode, but I mean, there's really not that much more to say about test and balance. I'm sure test and balance folks would argue that there's a lot to say, but we're looking at it from a building automation perspective. If you all want a episode on how to perform test and balance and you're feeling squirrely, once again, I really don't recommend that you get into that line of work. It's just not as profitable when you've already got the building automation part down, in my opinion. But it is really good skill to have for service. But if you all want an episode on test and balance, like how do I perform it, how do I do that, we could do that. Maybe I'll pull in a test and balance expert from one of the major tab firms, and we'll have them walk through it. Let me know if that's of interest. Just let us know in the comments or shoot us an email. Thanks a ton. I'll see you in the next episode. Take care.